Live. Hey, y'all. It's your girl, Candy J. Y'all know what I'm doing. I am sharing to a couple of places so that I can get a few people to watch what's going on. But you see, I have a special guest with me already. You see him. You see him, right? You see him?
They
Oh,
see me.
What's going on over here? Sorry about that, y'all. Let me share. This is not where I'm supposed to be, y'all. So let me get us started and then I'll come right back. Whoop whoop. Hold on, guys. Hold on.
Woo, woo.
Hey, guys. It's Candy J and my boy Q from Mash and Gas. Woohoo! Guys, today, first of all, let's just do this. Happy Men's Health Month. Woohoo! You know, we're gonna talk a little bit about that, just a little bit. Hey. Ring that bell already, Q. Ring that bell.
I got the bell ready. We got to have the bell ready at all.
Second of all, happy Pride Month. You know, love is love. That's how I feel. So, you know, I got to support my LGBTQIA plus, you know, my alphabet crew. Y'all, you know, I love you. So, listen, me and Q have an awesome show for you today. Listen,
Yes,
we're talking about the impact of a father. The impact of a father. Oh, no, I'm kidding. A father. So first of all, I am going to let him introduce himself. You know, Q, tell them a little bit about you.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show, sis. I really, really appreciate it. I know we've been trying to hook up for the longest, but you know, we're gonna hook up in person real soon, and I can't wait till we get together and cut the hell up. So that's what we're gonna do. My name is Q, of course. First name is Quintus, last name is Stevens, and I am the CEO and creator of Mash Gas Entertainment. Of course, along with my co-host, my girl Miss Mo Swag, my boy Hendrix, Miss Shimmy 2.0, and Miss Arbor, not Barbara. Make sure you catch us every week. We got something for you every week, of course. We'll be going on hiatus in July, but don't worry, we'll be back in August with some great stuff on some after dark topics and a whole lot of other stuff coming up. Then also you can reach me as well. The name of my life coaching business is Confidence Connection Unlimited, and where we definitely tap into your biggest issue and turn it into one of your greatest desires. And so I definitely want to definitely help people deal with what's going on and then take those issues and turn them into your dreams, your goals, your desires, the things that you would like to do. But we do it in a responsible way. And listen, I promise you, I'm more of a listener than I am a talker when it comes to coaching. So definitely hit us up on Facebook. Mashgas.com is our website, and all your platforms. You can definitely find us. We appreciate you and we love you.
Listen, if you have not watched Mash the Gas, y'all are missing a treat. Do you hear me? I've been a special guest on the After Dark, and I think I've been a special guest on the regular show too. But it is amazing. They're hilarious. They have all kinds of different personalities, and you won't regret watching the show. I promise you won't. They talk about all kinds of topics. It doesn't matter from politics to religion to sex to relationships, all kinds of things. So definitely Mash the Gas. But I am so happy to have you with me.
I'm glad to be here, sis.
I'm like virtual hug, right? So here's the thing. This is also a month where we celebrate our fathers, right?
Right.
Some of us have not always had the best fathers. Some of us have great fathers. Some of us have had, mediocre fathers. And there's a backstory to it, right? And so, I just want you to tell me a little bit about, who you are in your family. Did you have siblings? Were your parents together? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, sis, make this shareable on your page so I can share it some more. Okay, so because I want my family to hear this.
I shared it on my regular page.
Page. Okay, I'm gonna be looking for it, but that's okay. I'm gonna start talking and then I'll go back and look for it. But okay, so you want to know a little bit about my family dynamic. First off, I am the oldest of 4. Okay. And the youngest of about 13. My dad was in his 40s. I believe he was 46 when I was born. As far as I know, I'm the last. As far as I know, it has been rumored that there's like a baby brother out there somewhere, but I don't know. I mean, hell, I was trying to find my own daddy, so if somebody else find theirs. just wasn't something particular that I, was into at the time. But like I said, the way that I grew up is that first off, I never knew who my father was until I was about 13, 14 years old. My dad, let's see, well, he could sing very well. I remember going to church and seeing him sing with different people. We call it quartet groups, that kind of deal. And so my mom was a musician or is a musician. And so I believe they kind of met through that scene. Well, my dad was married already with a whole family set. Okay. He had his wife and they had their children. And unbeknownst to me, of course, being, the baby of the bunch, my siblings are a decade or more older than me. So coming into a situation where, let's say, for example, you 6 years old with your siblings, your oldest sibling may be like 20. It's like, you don't really put that together when you're a kid, but when you get older and you start to kind of see them or, see how they behave or the reason why they do certain things they do, you're like, oh yeah, okay, that's the reason why, because the age difference, the gap is so wide. And then too, because technically, I know God does everything, and I'm grateful and I am proud to be here. I am proud the way that I came. But technically, if we were going by biblical standards, I am not supposed to be here. Okay, not by him, not by my dad, but by somebody else. But he's my dad. And so, cutting this story all the way down, I didn't meet him until I was about 13, 14. Well, I met him throughout my life. And then this is weird. We would go to church and stuff. I would see him, like I said, sing and stuff. And he would pat me on my head or he would wink at me. Like, it's kind of deal like that. And like one time I remember him asking my mom about how was I doing in school and, was I being a good boy? I remember that a little bit. Maybe it was maybe 7, 8 years old. And I would ask my mom, like, who is this man? Because he was the only guy that would do that to me. Who is this man that wink at me or pat me on my head or, hey son, how you doing? My mom was very protective, so there wasn't a lot of people that got towards me in those spaces, and so um I finally, me and my mom had like this really big blow up, and I think I was kind of raised, more so kind of like the daddy figure with my siblings because my mom did have, her husband, but I was protective of my siblings, my younger siblings, and so it just wasn't gonna go well for me, if something happened to them, and so I was way more mature. Um, Cutting it on even further, I made my mom tell me who my daddy was. I was like, you're gonna have to tell me because I think what was the straw that broke the camel's back was that we were having like father son things at school, and my uncles, I love my uncles. My uncles, it was two of them. They took me and they raised me like they own. Like I was their seed. And so I learned about women. I learned how to shoot. I learned how to hunt, cut grass. Fix certain things. Because of them, but there is still something missing. If it don't matter, it's great that you have those, that guys have that especially guys have that role model to help mold them. But when we start talking about relationships in just a second, it's hard to go into a relationship and you are only half a person. We'll talk about that in a second though. And so even though I had great upbringing, we struggled. It was rough. I was spoiled as hell because I got everything I wanted. So it really was that I didn't need anything. But in the back of my head, where is daddy? Where is my pop? Where is this guy? He stayed 15 minutes away from me. Crazy thing is, he used to watch me go to school just about every morning when I was in elementary. Weird stuff. I'm telling you, it was weird. Weird. I would see that man pop up at different places. Weird. And so made my mom tell me who he was. Come to find out that, you know, people in my space already that I knew that we were raised together, it ended up being my siblings because my dad, I found out, had been with not my mom, their mom, somebody else's mama, and his wife. So you got all these children now. And so our moms raised us together to keep us whole, you know, like we wouldn't grow up alone. And so I had, I have a lot of siblings, but in my life I was really only raised with five of my siblings, two of my half siblings, and then my mother's children, the other three. And so I always had them as a unit growing up. Me and my dad died when I was 25. Um, I had one or three conversations with him. The first conversation I had with him, of course, other than the fact that I think that man was just crazy following me and stuff when I was a kid, but I ain't gonna say he's crazy. I know what it was. But my sister, one of my sisters that I was raised with, got married. She's 3 years older than me. Her sister, which is my sister as well, Charlotte is 1 year older than me, and then me. So like Shell is 45, Charlotte's 44, I'm 43. Literally step, literally. And so
All different mothers, right?
it was two moms,
Okay.
my mom and then their mom, same daddy, same man, but different kids. And so she knew that I was her brother at 14 years old. And so she was more of a sister without me knowing she was my sister. And she was like, certain things I wanted to do, no, you can't do that. Boy, you better get somewhere and sit down. I'm like, girl, what is you talking to, man? You ain't my mama. I would say that a lot. But she knew she was my sister. And so when Pops died when I was 25 in 2005, um, I had only had that conversation with him when she got married. He asked me how school was. I was 16 at the time. Be courteous to your mama. Know I always love you. That was the second time. The third time I talked to my dad is before he died. And I talked to him. I had come to Dallas and he was already in the hospital. and I knew what hospital he was in, and I snuck in his room, and he knew who I was, and he just said, "Forgive me. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you."
Mm.
And then I think like 2 weeks later, he died. And so it was very, very tossed up, about my emotions, that I would wonder, like, this man that was in and out of my life like that, just filling in, kind of filling in where you needed to. He wasn't financially assisting nowhere, but it was like, I remember one time I was in band practice and I marched for Kimball High School. I saw my daddy on the other side of the gate. So it was like, and then I looked again and he wasn't there no more. So, you think about like the person watching over you from afar, knowing that they really want to get there to you, but they can't because of the mistake that they made. And beknownst to me, of course, I know what the real reason was behind it because of my mother's age at the time. And so when you start looking at stuff like that, you be like, wow, man, I think he really wanted to, but he just couldn't.
So how old was your mother and how old was he at the time? And was she married at the time that they were fooling around?
My mom, let's just say, my mother, when I got here, my mom was 18.
Okay.
Okay. My mom turned 18 December 25th of that year. I was born February the 12th. You do the math, she wasn't 18.
Right.
And so it was crazy because my dad was, his birthday September 29th, so he had already turned 46 when I got here.
Wow.
So when you look at stuff like that's a heavy burden to carry as a kid who wants to know where they come from. Mm-hmm. When you find out, and I'm not gonna say that my dad was a pedophile, but if you think about it, it's like, and I started asking questions because, like, I'm very, very close to a few of my cousins. Unfortunately, my siblings and I, we, other than the siblings I was raised with, my father's children with his wife, they want nothing to do with me. But their children, my nieces and nephews, love me. It's crazy. It is crazy. And I look at the dynamic and I see why y'all in so much chaos. I understand, because if I had to accept the ugly truth about my daddy and I wasn't even raised by him, you have to accept the ugly truth about your dad and you was right there in the house with you. And see, the truth, the Bible is clear, and we ain't gonna go Bible too much, but the Bible is clear where it says the truth shall make you free, or the truth shall set you free, whichever version you read. The key word in there is make and set, because once you get the truth about something, Candy, if you told me, if you were in a session with me and you said, Q, I think that some things what you're thinking may be a little selfish to your partner, I can't get mad at you for me being selfish because you caught wind of it. You know what I'm saying? And so when we get to a place in our life to realize that communication is key, and when you only learn one side of the way that you were supposed to communicate versus, the way that God intended you to, sometimes you have to learn those lessons the hard way. And I'm glad we're having this conversation today because I had gone into friendships and relationships communicating like my mama and them, like my uncles, like my grandma, like my aunts, my cousins on one side of me, not knowing and not understanding that another side of me is completely different, have no interest in the other side and what y'all really, really want to do because I'm really not interested in that. And then you turn around and you meet the other side of you figure out, oh, those are the missing pieces. That's where I come from.
So let me ask this question. Did you have any type of father? I mean, you said your uncles were there, but did you have a boyfriend? Did you have a stepfather? What was that dynamic like?
Okay, well, my mom, she had my little brother's dad. Let me see, Ronnie. He was there for a while, and I think maybe like 8 years, and then she got married, maybe like a couple of years after they kind of broke up, or whatever. I'm gonna be honest with you. The men in my mom's life played a role, I guess you could say, to, I wouldn't say maybe be a stepdad to me per se, but it was more, in my opinion, y'all, it was more step out of the way, because I'm with your mama, stay over here, mind your business here. My mom, she kind of, says that, I'm her, like her project child, like I'm the one that kind of grew up with her, like her sister. We, for years and years and years, me and my mama walk in the mall, we look like sister and brother. I mean, for years, and dudes will try to talk to my mama, and will be like, I'm trying to get with your sister, and I'm like, that's my mama, man. What you talking about? That's for real. That's my mama. For years, Candy. And so I think that in some essence, with guys, our jealousy is never usually with the woman. It's usually with another man.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I ring the bell on myself, because if I don't be jealous, I ain't gonna be jealous over, no woman or whatever case it is. I'm gonna be jealous over what this dude got that either took my woman, got her attention, whatever it is I got going on. I'm trying to figure out what you doing. Right. So I never really had a lot of respect for them, other than the fact that my mother made me. And that caused a lot of resentment because I didn't think that those men were good for my mother. I was very protective of my mom. I did not.
A lot of boys actually, because they take on the role of that protector. I'm making sure that my mom is okay and everything around is okay, and you shouldn't step into that space. And then somebody comes along that is their love interest, and you're like, "Who the hell are you?"
Right.
And so I can totally understand that. Did you say she got married though?
She got married. She got married to Mike behind, and mom, don't beat me up. So Mike, I ain't gonna say it on live. I'll tell you in private. But what I will say is that when the old folks say, you smelling yourself, kind of, you too. Because my mom got married, and I was like, I was an adult when she got married, but when Mike came along, I think I was like a junior in high school. So I was like, man, Mama, why this time? Not considering that my mother had her own needs, but why another guy? This time you couldn't wait till I leave. Bring somebody else up in here. You remember the last time we had issues? Blah 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 blah. Stay in your place. You know what you're talking about. You're not grown yet. Blah 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 blah. We go through that. So when Mike comes along, I already was like, man, I don't need, because the Candy, this is bad. My uncles taught me how to square up a dude when I first meet him. See, and that was my problem, because my grandmother used to tell me, that I couldn't be disrespectful to my mama's love interest, because my uncles, when somebody would come on, I'm like, man, who are you? What you want with my mama? And that's wrong. There's no excuse for that, because any child that acts and behaves like they need to stay behind whoop, I don't care what nobody say, or at least put in your place. Let me say that's what I mean.
Because it was up to your mom to have those conversations with you. It was up to her to let you know, hey, this is so and so. I'm interested in this person, and if she's introducing, if she's having them around, then it's her obligation to make sure you know who this person is and who's going to be around you. Not to knock your mama if she didn't have that conversation, but sometimes people just don't know to do that, right? It doesn't always come second nature to them, and they don't feel like their child should be in their business. Although when you put another person in there, you make that their business.
You make it right, yeah. And that was a lot for us, because I felt like I was like, my mom was kind of, how like you can kind of tell sometimes when a person is over something that's not healthy and you see the burden lift, after it's gone. I saw my mama happy. I saw her smiling. My mama was going out more. My mama
Right.
was doing her thing, and I was like, shoot, mama doing her thing. I'm good. I've gone, graduate. I'm drum age. I can do my thing. Senior year coming. And then, and the crazy thing about Mike is that, Mike was a tattletale. It was like, and let me tell you, I have dated women with children before, and it's very, very important to me and to any person that I be with that if we're going to be in this for the long haul, it's not my responsibility. Let's say, for example, Candy, you and I were talking, and you wanted me to meet your son. Well, that's a conversation you will bring up to me to not only figure out my comfort level, but you will have a conversation with yourself to say, is this what I really, really want to do? And so when you bring another person into your element, like you said, you create something that hopefully you are begging to God that vibes, because you want to make sure that your son and the man or your daughter and the man that you're in love with, you want to hope that they'll be open-minded enough to give them a little bit of respect to say, okay, you know what, I think that he's a cool man. And you want to see the signs of being a good man. That was what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for a guy to come in and just sweep my mama off her feet like she was in a fairy tale. I was looking for a guy to come in and say, you know what, Quincy, your behind is out of line, man. I love your mama. And if you don't like that, get your behind somewhere and get up and pay these bills. That's what I was looking for. Somebody to square me up and say, get your place. Boy, who are you?
Right.
Come up in my house. You know what I'm saying? Taking authority. But see,
Exactly.
any person that I would come to and that was with my mama and I challenged him, and whether you could beat me or not, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep coming at you. And if you got tired of me, you weren't ready for my mama. Because I felt like, if a man was like, dude, you better get out of my face, or dude, you need to get somewhere and get in your place. I love your mama. I'm going to do right by her. I'm going to make sure that she's good and all this kind of stuff. Have a conversation with me, man to man, build our own relationship. I would be cool. But see, Mike, he wasn't like that. He felt like he needed to be in my mama's ear. And I felt like he wanted to turn her against me. And that's not going to work for me. Because if you try that with me, then I'm going to do what's obvious and just leave it alone. And that's going to make her mad.
And are they still together now?
No.
And has she married again after that?
Let me tell you, I'm going to be honest with you. Now, as I grew up, as I grew a little older, Candy, and this is in my teens, 20s, but as I got older and I started kind of looking back at some of the things that I witnessed over being a child, I realized that my issue wasn't really my mom's happiness. My issue was the fact that I felt like my mama owed me happiness for keeping my dad away from me.
You need to ring that bell. Can you say you had a breakthrough moment there?
I had a breakthrough moment, Candy. Because let me tell you, men, we are slower than women when it comes to emotional thinking, really, really finding out the message in the bottle. If you're really not looking for the message, you just holding a bottle in your hand. If you don't really, really want the answers to what you have, God gives us all the answers. All we have to do is take the right key and unlock the right door and get the answer. And so I used to wonder why me and my mom at one point were so combative. And it's not that we didn't like each other and love each other. Me and my mama loved each other. But it was like, man, why we can't get along? I don't like you one minute, you don't like me the next. And I would just badger my mom. You know, when she would get somebody, it's like what was going on with that? You know, and so when I got grown, got on out on my own, all this kind of stuff, went through my own relationships, trying to figure out why nothing wasn't connecting, but they all over the damn place. I went back and I looked at and I talked to my mama and I was like, man, I'm so sorry. You know, I was mad at you because of something that my dad did not want to do because this is the life he chose. And I felt like you shouldn't be happy with no man if you can't give me the man that got you first to get me. So if you gonna be with anybody, you need to first give me who belonged to me. And that was my dad.
So
I
let
was
me
hell.
let me ask you something. So how did they meet? What was his profession?
Which one?
Your father.
Huh?
Your father.
My dad? They met in church. As far as I know, my dad worked for Kodak. He also didn't dabble in working in funeral homes, I believe. What's that? I don't think it was a Nat and Clark funeral home. I think Pop used to work at maybe Nat and Clark funeral home, maybe Black and Clark, one of them out there.
Yeah, both funeral homes. Black and Clark is still around.
One of them. And I know he started pastoring, but I think that was like after I was born. You know, I think maybe I may have been about 5, 6 years old when he started pastoring. You know, so I'm walking around here a pastor's kid and don't even know it. La 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 la. And you know, let me tell you something. As I got older and we start going to like I could go like a couple of these churches and stuff like that. Of course, they know who I am or whatever because of my mom and stuff like that. They'll walk up to me and say, "Boy, you look just like Pearson." See, people already knew. See, and that's the thing that gets me, Candy, in relationships. We act like we don't like shit ain't going on with it, but shit is really going on. Why would you know? And that's one thing, one issue that we can talk about, Candy, since we're talking. I had a big problem with avoidance. Oh my God. Talking about not having your dad in your life and trying to start a relationship or friendship or whatever the case it is, but when an issue come up, you try to cover it with maybe like sex, alcohol. You want to cover it with a next topic. You'll cover it with being mad, having certain emotional reactions. Either you sad, you want to be the victim, or you too mad to talk. You know.
And so how did you connect all of those things? How did you figure out it was because of that relationship with your father or non-existent relationship with your father? How did you figure that out? How did you connect the dots there?
I connected those dots, Candy, when I started dating women who had their dads.
Let's talk about it.
Listen, when you date somebody who has a very strong family unit, not that my unit wasn't strong enough, but I had a half a unit. I'm talking when your entire unit is together, okay? Their mentality on family is making sure that they continue a balance. See, when you are someone like me, you have to learn balance because 9 times out of 10, if you don't know who you are, your scale is going to tip. I'm gonna make sure we ain't giving them no promo. Your scale is going to tip one way, but you still got this side that you have to bring down, but you have to figure out why it's that high. And so when I would date women that had their dads in their life, their dads would be like, you know, make sure he opens the door for you. Make sure he comes in this house and meet me. Make sure, you know, the different things like that. Now, uncles taught me that, how to shake your hand and look you in the eye and stuff like that. But what uncles fail to remember and realize is how to convince daddy to let his daughter date me.
Right.
And that's where you start to find out that those little nuances that daddy can give you how to talk to another father about his daughter, how to talk to a mother about her daughter, because they will have the experience as a couple, whether you're married or let's say co-parenting. Let's do it like that, y'all, because we live in a world now where co-parent is the new marriage. So I'm sorry, and I hope busting people's bubbles. I'm not really all that traditional. I'm just saying when a child has both parents, both sets of parents, they're coming in with a balance depending on how these children are raised, and they're presenting themselves to you. Right. But if you don't have enough of a tray to receive the big plate that you're about to take, you're going to make a mess.
Right.
And so I did not know that talking to this man, not just about what I'm going to take his daughter, what my goals and visions are, but what kind of man are you? Are you a lazy man? Mm-hmm. Are you bossy? You got a bad attitude? Are you soft? Mm-hmm. You know, stuff like that you don't think, because when a man is looking at you and you answering his daughter, he's watching you from the rooter to the tutor.
Right.
And so I thought it's like, dang, man, I missed that lesson. I missed that one. Missed that one. Another thing too, another way I connected those dots is when I got engaged. I got engaged. My ex was very much so a daddy's girl. Okay, her mom had passed away. But her dad was still in her life and stuff like that. And so when the time was getting very close to tie the knot, like say you get cold feet, before the big day and stuff like that. Well, I didn't have nobody to call because my uncles had passed on. I could call my friends, but calling your boys or your best homegirls, they're going to probably tell you something wrong that you might liable to do anyway. No help at all sometimes. But then, you don't have that person to actually say to you, hey, what's going on? This is how I felt on this day. Remember when you was young and you had an issue with running away from things, and I told you this and the other. See, avoiding things was my game. Mm-hmm. Stick and move. And I felt like in relationships, I put that together because my daddy was there, but he avoided me at all costs. Right. And so when you are avoided, you are rejected. Your confidence is shot. Mm-hmm. You're forced to play a deck of cards with no spades, mm-hmm. and hoping you get a book.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: there are plenty of studies that show, at first they were like, oh, we just really need our mothers. Bullshit. Because there are so many things that a mother cannot teach a woman or a man about certain things. How to be treated by her man. You can tell her, but unless she has that example to show her, I think about times when my dad was rough and tough with me, rumbling and tumbling, and that taught me how to be a little bit tougher with people that shouldn't put their hands on me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think about all of the lessons that he really taught me, being confident in myself and knowing that I am pretty, I am gorgeous, and this is how somebody should treat me, right? And that's not always something that a woman can teach another woman, because it's the influence of that man,
Right, exactly.
And if you don't have a protector around, you learn to protect yourself all the time. And then some women get the complex of, oh, I don't need anybody. I don't need a man.
Right.
Because I can protect myself. I can change my oil. I can mow my own lawn. I can take out my own trash. I can get myself off all by my goddamn self. So what do I need a man for? and you miss all of those pivotal things, right? And so, so my question would be, how? Now, I know that you're not married right now, but how did you learn how to be that protector? You know, I know you said your uncles had helped you, but I know that you have your head on straight, right? The protector, the provider, the peace. How did you learn how to be that if he wasn't a part of your life? Did you take things from him not being there because you learned avoidance, but then you connected to it? But what helped you in some manners?
What helped me was, I'm gonna have to really give a lot of that credit to my grandma. My grandmother was the type of very tomboyish. You know, you're gonna learn how to cook, you're gonna learn how to clean, you're gonna learn how to do everything that a man's supposed to do. But you're gonna get out there and you're gonna learn some other stuff too. And she will always drill in my head, don't you let nothing happen to your mama. If something happened to your mama, you better be right there every time you turn around. I don't care who it is. And I was scared of my grandmama because my grandmother's voice was deep as mine. You know, and so she's like, you better get your book. You better watch over your mama. You better watch over your mama, like I told you. You hear me, boy? Yes, ma'am. So a lot of that came with that, and then too, I felt like, you know, my mom, I felt like she was still a little girl. I don't know if that makes sense by me being so young, but my mother was so young looking. Right. You know, me even growing up, you know, I see my mama outside running around with me. You know, she's 18 years older than me. So when I was 18, she's 36 years old. So me and my mama still had pride. You know what I'm saying? I had my first drink, you know, 16 with my mama. I shouldn't have. I got drunk and still had band practice the next day. But my mama did stuff with me that other people's mama probably like, I wouldn't have did that with my son. You know, my mama was so energetic and she was fun. My mama was so fun, you know, and anybody that wanted to disrupt that, it was on my hit list, you know, and just for everybody's knowledge, if you don't know, the first woman that a man ever fall in love with is his mama. I mean, I wasn't in love with my mama, but what I'm saying is that I love my mama.
Right.
You know, and so it was, my mom was the type that would sit down, and let me tell you, me and my friend was talking the other day, I had an Atari 1600, 2600, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1, PS2, PS3, all of them. Me and my mom. Oh! You know, and so, you know, my mom grew up with me. And so that was an attachment, you know, that I felt like, no. Even now to this day, now I ain't gonna lie. Now me and my mom, we were very close. But like, lady, I don't want to talk to you. You know. She'll call me like, you know, usually on Sundays, that's our day. You know, and I go see her, we cook and stuff like that. But then she'd be ready for me to bounce and I'll be ready to bounce, you know. But over time, you know, I felt like that I had to cherish and hold my mama and protect her from wolves. I could tell your personality when I saw you as a child. I always knew when somebody was not a good person. And I would go and I would stand in front of my mom like this. She said, boy, move on. He's not a good person. You know, and she like, how does he know that? You know, and it was just something that I just wanted to move out of the way, you know, and so I knew that very early, you know, and I always wanted to make sure that, you know, she had the best. Now I'm gonna be honest with you, that came with the price of being a kid, though. Now me and mama had fun, but you know, when my siblings came along, you know, it was like, okay, we have fun, but you got, you know, 3 more other, you know, siblings to, you know, that's gonna look up to you. So now the dynamic has changed to just being not just my son, but you have to be a role model too.
So let me ask this: how do you feel about kids? You know, because you said you've dated women with kids, and to my knowledge, you don't have any kids.
Well, I've lost 4 kids in my life. We've had 2 miscarriages. and 2 stillborns. And so,
well, that's another show as the man in that situation. Oh, Q, that's a whole nother show. As the man in that situation, you've got to come back to talk about that. Okay. I'm sorry. Continue.
And so kids, I love children. You know, my father's side of the family is so huge. I see my cousins and I see a lot of them. My grandmother and my grandfather had 13 children. My daddy had around 13, 14. His brothers had 13, 14, sister 9, 8. I mean, so I didn't really want a family that big, but at least maybe like 5. It's kind of what I had stuck in my head. And so now that I've gone through a lot of heartache with children, I still love children. I'm always love kids. But if I don't ever, I'm only 43, I don't think I'm going to have none, Can't dad. I refuse to be 60 years old at high school graduation. I'm like, go, baby, go.
Q, do you happen to remember how old I am?
Yes, Candy.
I am 39 years old, and I still want one more kid. I have a 6-year-old, but I still want one more kid. Why? Because I still want my girl, and I also don't want my child to be an only child. I'm an only child.
Yeah.
So, and in another show, we can talk about all of that as far as man, me being an only child. Woo!
No, Kenny, let me tell you. What I always have said, and I hold true to this. I always said that if I don't have any children biologically, I will adopt. Mm-hmm. I've looked into it several different times. Some child out there that doesn't have a mom or dad that's going through some of the same things that I've gone through, to give them a shot in life, to deal with some of their issues and take them on and say, hey, you know what, this was meant for you to go through so I could teach you some of the things. And don't give up on them, because somebody could have gave up on me. And I was with my mom. Mm-hmm. Somebody could have gave up on me a long time ago. And so, but I mean, I feel great about children. Even if I meet someone with children, the first thing I ask her is, can you tell me a little bit about, how does, Gracie, was the relationship with, with your dad? How is that dynamic, your co-parenting dynamic? If it's something like, oh, we're doing really, really good, blah, 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 this and the other. My next statement is to her is, well, I would definitely love to speak with you both before anything continues, because as a father, he has to be content with me being around his child. It should be the same way with women and men. Go ahead.
So I was just going to piggyback off of that, because here's the thing, like my son's father and I, we don't have any communication. It's a long story. We can get into it later. However, everything is, I send text messages to him and his mom at the same time, because there's no miscommunication in what's happening, right? Mm-hmm. So if I was to get with someone else that I knew that your child was going to be around and at all the time, and he's probably going to be my husband, then I'm immediately going to call a family meeting.
Yeah,
why?
Exactly.
Because I feel like you guys should have that conversation, and I'm happy to facilitate it. But you all should have that conversation, because I want you to know this person has the best heart for our kid. They're not trying to take your place, but they are going to be that other person around when you're not around.
Right.
And I think mature people, that's how they know how to have that conversation. You might not agree on everything. Nobody really does, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, like men should be, you should be having that conversation with that person that's coming into your child's life.
Absolutely. And as a bonus dad, if it gets to that place as a bonus dad, you want to be in that child's life as an additional asset, not a replacement. And if men, which quite often I see this a lot, especially with our brothers, is that the bonus dad sees the mom going through what real real daddy does and gets immediately on her side instead of saying, no, I have to remain focused in the middle and let y'all work that out. As hard as that is to do, sometimes, unless if that child's in physical harm or something like that, okay, now that's different. But if we're talking issues, communication, stuff like that, yes, the bonus dad is supposed to be there to help mama and making sure that she's good and even the child. But the bonus dad is not supposed to facilitate the communication between you two. You have to be able to, y'all made the baby. If y'all communication is good, then ours is going to be good over here because my job is going to be, what did your daddy say? If your daddy said this, I'm going to stick by what they got to say. Because you have to be on one accord. And that's one thing that our family dynamics lack is with our bonus parents. You know, it's okay to feel a certain kind of way about maybe how a child's mom or dad are treating them or whatever case it is, or how they treat their ex or whatever. You got a right to feel some kind of way that's about somebody that makes the person that you love hurt. Of course you do.
Right.
But what you don't have a right to do, if that child does not have the blood running warm through their veins, you make sure that the child is good with you in the relationship that you have. Keep the child focused in mind that mama and daddy love you. They're going to get it together. They love you. And press upon them to fix their issue and keep yourself out of it.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's hard though. And that's hard, Candy.
You though, did you feel less loved because your father wasn't a part of your life? Do you and part two of my question is, did you feel like you also couldn't be emotional because your father wasn't in your life, or did your mother help with that influence as well?
My mom's a Capricorn, so she taught me to cut off game real quick.
Oh God!
Did it teach me? It toughened me up a lot. I will not be vulnerable very much. Growing up, I was kind of shy though. You know, I tell people all the time I am a shy guy. I'm very boisterous, but there are things about my life that I'm shy in. That there are some things.
You a lie, and the truth is not in you, sir.
Like I embarrass easy. I can embarrass somebody easy, but I can be just as embarrassed easily. Like I'm like, you know.
Child, cute.
It toughened me up. It really did make me guard myself a lot, sis. Not having pops around because, oh my God, I didn't know. I was mad for a lot of reasons, but I didn't know how to direct my anger. And I think a part of a dad's job is to help regulate the family emotions. Mama knows that you're emotional, but see, when daddy say, okay, it's enough, y'all stop all this fight, stop all this arguing, get somewhere and sit down, stop talking. He regulates the emotions, you know, in his children.
It's a different point of view.
Yeah, and so
that belongs in that household.
Right. And so, you know, my uncles, you know, they can get us together, whatever case it is, but, you know, it was like, man, shoot, I'm on my way. I'm coming back over there, bro. We're going to finish. We're going to start. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do this. But if daddy say, I said, shut up. I said, no. All right, man, I'll let it go. I mean, I've seen it too many times with my friends, you know, with the dynamics of their dads, and I was jealous as hell. Let's put that out there, too. Jealous as hell. And I'm not a jealous person, but see, anybody that, as me growing up, I see anybody have a good relationship with their daddy, I didn't want to be around you too much because mine got mine. And ain't doing it but making me mad that you got yours. And then that's what started making me go to my mama like, what's up, man, with this? Where he at?
Where he at, right.
You know? And so it definitely did that. Now, the second part of the question, real quick, Candy, is, what was the second part of the question?
your emotions, but I think you answered that part.
I think I'm because I talk so much or whatever case it is, I definitely can be dramatic with certain things in my life. I think that but it's a part of my great charm though. But I think if daddy was around me, my dad was around me, um, he would have made sure I was more grounded in my emotions. You know, I miss out on a lot of opportunities because I let my mouth get in the way. I miss on a lot of opportunities because I couldn't swallow my emotions and say, man, bro, we're gonna think about this a different way.
Right.
Not to say that it took away from my manhood or anything like that, or made me feel less of a man, but I felt like, a lot of my thinking were very feminine, and so a lot of stuff I had to, be reprogrammed with my uncles, because when they come along to help me with some of this stuff, I would cry all the time. They would stop all that crying. And they was like, well, no, let him cry because, he'll be too hard when he grow up. If you gotta let the little boy cry so he can feel something,
Right.
And
I
my
totally
uncle,
agree with that.
yeah, my uncle's like, no, he don't need to be crying. Let him cry. And I'll be over there, still doing it anyway. But my point is that a lot of times, your emotional well-being in relationships must be attended to every day, y'all. And sometimes when you don't have a constant force or a constant presence in your life that can help you regulate those feelings, if you will, bully in your life, and you never want to talk about it. If you were the type of person that everybody always think that you the bad guy, and you start to feel guilty about who you grow up to be, and you may have a little bit more than some of the other kids, and they think you bougie and you ain't nothing and all this kind of stuff. And then when you grow up with all this in your brain, and you have to reprogram and change your mindset about the specimen that God made you to be, no matter how you got here, and that He made you unique and He made you special. And when you come to that knowledge, then you start to learn that the ingredients that you were mixed up with is just as good as anybody else's cake mix, baby.
Well, bro, we gotta wrap this up,
and we gotta wrap it up.
Forever.
We gotta do this again.
Of course, yes. Because I've already thought about 4 different shows you need to be on.
Okay.
And if I can get one of my best friends to talk about her experience with miscarriages and stillbirth, and me being a product of my mom having 2 stillbirths and 2 miscarriages, and I'm the only child here, but yet she don't treat me like I'm her only child. Huh. Oh. So there's so much to talk about, and but we gotta go. But yes. I am so grateful that you came through. We'll do this again, especially in person. But tell them.
We gotta have lunch real soon. We gotta do lunch like really, really soon.
Oh,
really. We gotta do lunch.
Yes. Tell the people again where they can reach you.
Again, guys, you can reach us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all that good shit. Anchor FM at Mash Gas, MASHTHA Gas. And you can, entertainment. Make sure you catch us on starting on tomorrow night, Monday Night Madness season finale with Miss Shimmy, and all the rest of the week. Of course, we got our rail show for you. Again, we appreciate it. We love you. Thank you so much, Miss Candy J, for being on. Y'all can see Candy J too on our last After Dark episode. I'm gonna try to share it again so you guys can see her cut up and be her crazy self.
We be cutting up. That's the therapist, sexologist side of me on there.
But Candy, before we leave, we gotta do one thing before we leave. Let's show them this chocolate butter. Come on, let's do it one time.
Show them the what?
Let's show them this chocolate butter. The chocolate butter. The mug, yeah.
Something is wrong with you. All right, y'all. You have been watching watching Candyology Radio, where we talk about love, sex, and relationships. I am wishing you love-filled days and orgasmic nights. Have a great day, guys. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.